still get this, that, and the other.
Okay.
On the,
Okay.
the other unfinished business, Mr. Coleman was gonna get some information for us, but he couldn't be here tonight. So we can, hold up on that if you guys don't mind.
I would like to just make a quick announcement under the unfinished business. I received a letter yesterday, and I'll read this letter, from Billy Fair, the Blytheville School Board member, to whom it may concern. This letter is to notify you that I am resigning from my position on the Blytheville School Board effective September 25th, 2020. Sincerely, Billy Fair, C. Anytime that a vacancy has been declared on the board, we have 30 days to fulfill that seat, which will roughly put us around October 25th. And you know, next general election is a week later, so it's just something to keep before us as a board, and the requirements and laws that pertain to a vacancy at the time one is declared. So we'll now move down to information items and reports. We'll start with the superintendent's report.
Last Thursday at the middle school, they had a gear up kickoff. They had people come in. I believe her name was Miss Erica. She was supposed to be here tonight, but she had conflicts on her schedule. So I'll just tell you a little bit about Gear Up, gaining early awareness and readiness for undergraduate programs. And it was last Thursday at the middle school. Our own president was there to offer words to the students and families in attendance. They did get to do a vision board and work on it with their families. Each student was also awarded a $1,500 scholarship, as long as they're staying in this particular district, they get that when they become seniors. Is there anything you want to add to it?
I was excited about the program. Each 7th and 8th grade student receiving a first scholarship meant a lot to a lot of those kids. Not only the scholarship piece of getting the $1,500, it's the touches that those kids will encounter with the weekly support staff from UCA on campus. These kids will take visits to mentorship, job shadowing programs, career opportunities, whether it's career technical, armed forces. They will go to college and university campuses. They will see what doctors, lawyers, welders, plumbers. They're just gonna, show these kids and expose them to different career fields post-secondary. One of the biggest things about this program is getting our kids inspired and motivated to do something after high school. So it was very enlightening. I was very proud.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Because, we're starting that conversation early with them in middle school, so that by the time they get to high school, they were like, okay, this is the track I want to be on. This is what I have to do. I know all of this is out there waiting on me, and I can attain it. So that's the best part. Next is Ms. Starks, the curriculum director. She's going to share some literacy data that we have from some of our early screenings that we've completed so far. I think we did not announce that our meetings are now live streamed on the Blytheville School District YouTube page.
All right, good evening, everyone. I am Lauren Starks, Curriculum Director. What I wanted to talk about is some early literacy screening that we've done to start the school year. All of our students in grades K through 8 have been screened around potential literacy pieces that could cause some issues in their reading. So with spelling in, which is encoding and decoding. So one of the things that I wanted to share is that we have what we consider a SWAT team for our district. That means that we have individuals, so these are certified, and some of our paraprofessionals who have been trained to screen students so that we could keep data consistent and so that it's done by the same people across the district. So they got this completed within 2 weeks. So we're talking about 700 or so students that they screen. The screeners that are used are 1-minute assessments. So in kindergarten, We have letter name and fluency. So when you see the data in just a minute, you'll see where it says L and F. The students are given upper and lowercase letters to determine if they know those letters in kindergarten. We also have nonsense word fluency, so that's NWF. And students in first grades have to read nonsense words. So think of the word PEF, P-E-F. It's a nonsense word, but students have to be able to read as many words, nonsense words, in 1 minute. And then in grades 2 through 8, we have oral reading fluency, which we call ORF. And then they are also given the developmental spelling assessment, which is DSA. So what happens is we enter it into a data wall, and students who are flagged red need intensive support. And so that's the data that I'm going to be speaking on tonight. So if you can see in kindergarten, there's a percent in red. So we have 60% of our kindergartners who flag that need intensive intervention around letter naming. One of the things that we have discovered, though, is that our students who are enrolled in our pre-K program on campus are actually really successful in knowing their letter names. And so one of the things that we've also talked about with the pre-K is that they use a portion of the curriculum that we are using for pre-K. In grade 1, you will see that the top number represents the words red. So 27% of our students in first grade are scoring in the red around the numbers of words that they could read. That's nonsense words. And then we have in second grade, you will see for ORF, we have words correct and accuracy. So all from 2nd through 8th grade, you will see that the data is consistent around what they're measured around. So WC is words correct, and then they have accuracy. One of the things that I really wanted to point out is that if you see, for example, 8th grade, we have 54% of our students in 8th grade who are scoring red for the words correct. But what do you notice about the accuracy? The number of students who we have in red is 10%, which means that our students are very accurate in what they're reading. However, the speed and the rate at which they're doing it is very slow. So one of the things that we are doing at each campus is, even in high school, we have intervention periods school-wide. And so students are receiving interventions if they are in the red, based specifically on how they score on these assessments. The piece right here is encoding. So encoding is spelling. That was done with our DSA assessment. And we do know that we need students practicing spelling because that assessment showed that our students are really struggling with the spelling skills and spelling patterns. Did it go too far? Just a little bit too far. The last thing that I want to talk about is the dyslexia program. So what I've listed is the number of students who are receiving services for dyslexia tendencies. And so that you can see that the majority of those students are in the elementary campus. So that's grades 3 through 5. We do have some certified staff as well as paraprofessionals who have been trained to deliver the program's FIRE. And that's how they receive their dyslexia services. And then finally, all our students in grades kindergarten through 3rd engage in the new Atlas screener that we talked about previously. Those results will not be ready till mid-October, and then we will share that information at the October board meeting. Parents will have access to the parent portal so they can see what interventions in areas that their children are struggling in, and then they will identify risk for poor reading or math outcomes.
Lauren,
Yes.
are they just not identified in primary, all of them? Dyslexia. I mean, they don't go through primary and then develop dyslexia. It was there in primary. Was it just not identified?
Which you're talking about because the percent or the number of students.
Right.
Well, the issue is that we are also having problems with school students not receiving high quality tier 1 instruction. So a student could potentially be flagged as having reading difficulties, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they have tendencies of dyslexia. And so that's one of the things that we're working on is early identification And so we do have a process, and the screener that has been given to kids, the new screener is very rigorous. And what it can do is kind of, it compares data to say, this is probably a lack of tier 1 core instruction versus this child has, and there's an extensive process to tell if kids have tendencies of dyslexia.
Any other board members? Questions or? Okay, it's a good session. Thank you, Ms. Stark.
Thank you, Ms. Starks. Next on my report is you remember a couple weeks ago, or before, the state, and we talked about completing our RFP, request for proposal, that is posted on our website for people to submit their proposals and bids. Their deadline to get those in is October 3rd at noon. It was posted on the 20th, and we have bids coming in. I'll get emails, people asking clarifying questions, so there is some interest. And I just want to let you know that it is there. Salary schedule update. We needed a website, social media coordinator. So in case, I know some of you's like, we just did this already. So we add that particular position on there because we need somebody to keep our website updated, add things, so we're getting that information together. And dealing with our early release Wednesdays and our professional development and just the year-long things that we're doing in the summer planning, just so we can make sure everything is relevant and that teachers are getting that support and curriculum training that they need. And even around classroom management, we have a professional development coordinator, a district training officer for our security officers. So those are the things that's added to the salary schedule assignments. And that was attached for you. Next, we're here from Mr. Paul Jenkins. We are going to make sure that we use our remaining ESSER funds.
As you know, with all federal funds, you have 27 months from the start till all expenditures have to be done. So we started off with ESSER 1, that's done and over with. ESSER 2 is done and over with. ARP ESSER, or what I call ESSER 3, is what we're dealing with right now. Also, we're dealing with ARHCY 1 and ARHCY 2, which are your homeless ARP ESSER. And Ms. Minor's taking care of those, what little funds we have left in those, she's allocated. So my proposal, and I have to have it sitting on a purchase order by Monday. All funds for ESSER 3 or 6795, which is the funding code, have to be obligated by September 30th, by end of day. We have until December 31st to extend the fund. So there's rules associated with can't do a salary because the salary is paid for when work is done. You cannot do travel this past September 30th, which is Monday, because that's allocated when you travel, not when you cut a check. So those are the parts that are a little difficult. So my proposal is we're going to have to go back on rotation for teacher laptops. We've been off of rotation for a while. Ms. Blankenship can fill you in on some of the condition of some of the teacher laptops. But as part of, retention and things like this, I'd like to go ahead and just get them replaced in the district. That'll give you a good 5 years and you can start back on rotation properly, or you do one campus every year.
I think we're at the 5 or 6 year mark already on those Dell laptops.
They anywhere from 4 to 6 years on the laptop, right? With ESSER funds, you're allowed to buy for teachers, anybody that deals with students such as your MCLs, things like that, your reach associate, that's who it's allowed for. So I've got 130 of them listed. Also, I have 120 touchscreen Chromebooks for our kindergarten students. Trackpads just aren't working very well for small hands. We used to have touchscreens, but during the pandemic, that all kind of got messed up when we were just passing out Chromebooks, So those are also listed. That's on the first quote. Now, I have a question. So one from SHI happens to be $3,813.06 cheaper. They're a New Jersey company. Wired is an Arkansas company. And you know, you have that leeway to choose which one you want. So I'll need to know which one you choose. The second thing is to buy our round of normal replacement Chromebooks. We usually buy it in February, March, when I usually bring it up, but we have the remaining ESSER funds to out there. The cheapest one was wired. I only got 2 quotes on that because the other party never sent a quote. Wired was $150,000. And SHI, which I have the quote with me, I printed off earlier today. It is. They didn't send it. It's $154,170. And CDWG has always been high on all of them, so as you can tell on the other quote. That's the 2 that will take care of the majority of the remaining ESSER funds.
Do we have an estimate?
Pardon?
How much do we have left in ESSER?
Had, at the start of this school year, we had 470-ish thousand, 87,000, and adding in my head, 45,000 were obligated already for things across the summer, the curriculum and things we were buying that you had already approved. So it drops it down to the amount that I have left to spend.
Any other questions pertaining to the remaining ESSER funds and the explanation of the request for
That's okay.
just receive one?
Yeah, both quotes should have been in the package. You should have had the 300 Chromebooks was the G10 Fortis.
Next to the last.
And they were 150,000 and some odd dollars. The one you don't have is the SHI. I can send it around if you'd like to look at it. But it was 154,000. For the same item, same warranty, same accidental protection.
Is he saying that once we buy the Chromebooks, ESSER funds are out? We've expended all of it.
On ESSER, yes, once these are purchased, that's it, done.
And this is an action item as well, to bring to the board's knowledge. We have an action item for ESSER expenditures, item L.
Just, if I'm looking at the right thing, that's not to item in our packet. Then this, I don't think the amounts are different. Is this similar to the right thing?
This was taken off. This email to the board. Laptop bag is still there. This is the kind of average privacy.
Okay, so we're placing a letter to the mayor. He said this to be less that. Does that expend everything?
Yeah.
Based on,
That was the SHI. It was higher.
so you're planning on going far for, is that correct?
Well, if you so choose. Remember, SHI was cheaper on the first one. They're only about 3,000.
Yeah.
Evidently.
So that's a board decision,
But
not a meeting decision.
Right, but I don't think there's the detailed quotes are in our emails, are they? Not.
Yes,
Yes.
those were exactly.
Right, it was in the email.
Right.
Any other-
Any questions?
Any other questions there? All right.
You haven't hit the last one, right?
On-site support for Blytheville, from the Blytheville Police Department, Assistant Police Chief, Stewart. I saw her a while ago. There she is. Congratulations.
Assistant Chief.
We have just been working with the school, the CSSO program, trying to help them become efficient. And we're actually working on a program now, trying to get a uniform officer into the school.
Is there anything needed from us at this time?
Right now, we're just trying to work through the details, because we gotta worry about, overtime and stuff like that, but we're trying to get somebody in. Right now, we don't have the funds for SRO per se, but we're trying to work around.
So many questions. They've been very helpful, as you know, with all these different things that's been occurring in all around the state, actually tri-state area. So they've been supporting us and we appreciate them. And the fact that they're trying to get somebody on site for us is a pretty big deal. So we just wanted her to share that information.
Just-
Any
sorry.
questions for her?
Yeah, I just have one question. So we will have uniform off when the details are worked out. You're saying we'll have a uniform officer. Campus?
On campus, okay. They have it out along with the CSSO officer.
Okay,
Off campus.
Right now, we're focusing on two.
High school.
And
yeah.
there'll just be, an added protection to go along with CSSO, stuff like that.
Will it be in training or what kind?
Yes,
Work.
we're trying to work with them and get them trained, so that we'll be on the same page. In the event anything happens, they'll know our protocol, theirs. We're trying to work out some things with radios and stuff like that.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll now move down to our action item. I will read each action item. Ask for any further information or discussion. August 21st, 2024 special meeting. More information or discussion there. August 22nd, 2024 regular meeting. Any other information or discussion? September 10th, 2024 work session. Any other information or discussion? Action item D, the financial report for August. Any other information and discussion there? Action item E, the financial report for September. Any further information or discussion? Action item F, the revised Blytheville Primary School Code of Conduct. Blytheville Public Schools Code of Conduct. This was emailed to us. Action item G, the special education 2024-25 IDEA Part B budget. Any other information or discussion on this item at this time? Action item H, the relay program. Information or discussion on this. We saw the presentation at the start of our meeting.
Are we voting on to just correct things just because, or just like we don't really have a choice in that, right? I mean, regardless, it's done, right?
It's done. However, we have a choice in the matter of,
Food and what services and when to start those services.
yes,
But we don't know what that would be. at this
or what it
point.
will consist of, what that
So
program.
should we be voting? It's a particular vote.
We can take. Can you give further information?
Okay, if you guys aren't comfortable with how it's set up already going into the summer, I can ask them to tailor something else if you like it to.
I guess. What is our current plan for it? What will we be voting on if we?
What
vote
she
on it?
presented about the,
So we would wait and send everybody.
and start in the summer, yes.
So it's just money spent, and that money is out of our ESSER funds as well, is that right? No?
I can't remember what budget they came out of, but it was already out. It's sitting there.
Is that the district's preference as to wait or?
To defer those seats, yes.
Okay.
I would feel better if I had to vote tonight that for the data that was presented and we have this program. I wouldn't want to lessen the effectiveness or the data that supports a
Sure.
successful program. But if the board so desires, we can either table this, get further information, or there's a,
So are you wanting to know if they could provide maybe some PD or some type of support now?
It just, my impression of what was presented was that we hadn't really ironed out who's going and what was, how we were gonna do it.
Now, the names we have not given like
Yeah,
which
that-
particular people, but
Right.
those are the programs.
I didn't really understand if we were doing it as the typical model that they would prefer us to, or we had done some sort of workaround to make it effective for this year, but it sounded like we were planning on going with the way they would like everybody else to do the program. We'll just
So we can get the full
seats.
benefits, yes.
That then, I mean, if, as long as we're all on the same page, on it.
action item I, Ford Hotel Supply, paint art word at Blytheville Middle School, $35,920. Ms. Blankenship, information on this?
To give clarity, I think we discussed this last year with our investment, so this part wouldn't have been part of our investment, but I think it was discussed like it was. So this portion from the high school was the 120-some thousand. Our investment was 125 with Chartwell, so this will come out of operation funds for this, for middle school.
Performance Services, action item J, Blytheville High School, electrical repairs, $159,751. Further information and discussion on this item. It was in the quote was in our packet. I believe this is installing the 200 amp service and some other electrical work.
Correct.
Correct. One more for that. You can give it. Go ahead.
Any questions?
And
So on the, I would say north side, like y'all were correct, on the 4 in the hall with Miss Bird, her classroom, her restroom, I think the council service on the 4 in the hallway is without power. The solution they gave us is to not go into the existing box and go into a newer box near the gym, so engineering has been included with this as well. To give us power back, so this Miss Bird has been out power since school started. So I think this is the fastest option to get her power back and have to again.
Did we do any bids for this?
These on tips, this on tips,
I'm sorry.
it's on tip.
action item, sorry,
Based on the current utilization of the district and classrooms, is it necessary for us to spend this money? Are all the classrooms full and in order to do that?
I think we have to rearrange Miss Bird classroom with the ovens and stuff, that's the whole big area.
I got you.
Family consumer science class with the 2 or 4 kitchens in it and all the other.
More complications.
Yes.
It's nice.
not just pick up desk and. That's it.
Okay.
Now move down to action item K, no further questions on the electrical repairs there. Action item K, equity educators, $40,000.
I can give you some background there. Had to do a comprehensive coordinated early intervening services. The district was found out of federal compliance related to indicators for, suspending too many students over the threshold for a few things, disproportionality and discipline. So Ms. Walker has been working with the state on that. This is approved and we have to do it. We had to do training that started back in spring, I believe, with the training. And Dr. Baker has been working with Ms. Walker and the team to make sure that we come into compliance. And this will come out of that particular budget for special education because we have to do this program.
Action item L, ESSER expenditures. $317,917.25. This was the information that was presented by Mr. Jenkins. Any other information or discussion on this item at this time?
I have one question. As far as the, you mentioned we've got two quotes, one from SHI and then one from Water. As far as having Water be a local company, in the state of Arkansas, does that mean that they're willing to service coal and give us equipment or?
Where it is our service person,
Right, so.
they already are.
So they're gonna continue.
And they're a tip taps vendor, it's just SHI was slightly cheaper,
Okay.
and so I wanted to make sure you had all these. So. You know, there's the rule about the variance you can do for an Arkansas company, but that's strictly up to the board.
This is a $3,000 savings with a company in New Jersey.
At $3,863.06.
I think my preference is to probably do it all water, the rest of the work like to. We probably need to specify that in all.
Yeah, that's what
um,
Yeah.
action.
But there's no difference in the equipment that we're buying.
Equipment's exactly the same. Warranty is exactly the same. Accidental protection is exactly the same.
I had another question. I'm at $6,500 for laptop bags. I didn't actually use the laptop bag, or basically a teacher laptop bag.
No, it's the teacher laptop.
Okay.
For 130 computers.
So
I just never used the official laptop
The
bag.
teachers do use them quite a bit.
So we need to specify which company we're gonna go with. And
Yeah, for that first quote, yes, sir.
for me, $3,800 is a stipend on the last page for district website, social media coordinator, $4,000.
Yeah, but you can't take that out.
Well, that's just saying, if we save money, that could be 3,000 used, just as an example somewhere for something else.
Is,
Or what is the benefit of us going with wired? I understand there.
If you go with SHI, they'll be shipped here and then wired will have to, come here to image them, et cetera, whatever. If we use wired, it ships straight to wired in North Little Rock, and then they'll bring them to after they've already done all their things.
It's easier just to.
Yeah, technically it would be.
Any other feedback? Yes, feedback. Action item M, the updated stipend. This is the last page of our board packet. These are stipends that,
That's what I wrote there earlier.
Mr. Jenkins, back on this, the technology piece, is that gonna expedite the funds at all, or not funds, the computers being here faster if they go through wire versus, or their ability to be used.
Their ability to do it would be faster, because you're not having to transport from here to there and get stuff taken care of, and
Okay.
then bring it back, or doing it, you know, here.
So you believe the laptop would be in circulation once the teachers being used quicker if we were.
My goal is to have them in, the teacher ones in circulation as fast as possible.
And these are stipends for people that we've already have on staff. And so these would be additional duties that they're taking on. Is that correct? Correct.
I just have one question around it's like, how did we get to some of the? Is this just a standard stipend guideline for the positions or?
From what was already like listed. Guideline to go down.
No, is this? How did we get to these numbers? Which are they?
And some of these numbers were already available, they were listed, they just didn't have any people or anybody to fill the role. Some of them were already established prior to me. So if there's something you have questions about, need to change, y'all can have that discussion.
On the district security training officer, that's something that you know, to us, for that, you know, basically not in this fashion, but more that, we had someone go through training and they did not receive that funding. Is this for that? Yes. Okay. That's one of the same instance. Okay.
Is it like state standard or is that a district standard?
I'm not sure how that price was established, I was in an email that was, I think, from April or May. And so this discussion has since come back up,
And each school district has a training officer, correct?
because that person has to make sure that everybody's in compliance, yes.
I have a question on this back in my superintendent's report on Ms. Storm's presentation. I was wondering if we had previous data that we could compare our numbers to from last year at, you know, against these to see if we had improved or, you know.
We do. I can present it at the next board meeting.
But that would be helpful. And then we have follow-up data for the coming year as well.
Yes, so I mentioned the progress monitoring, so they'll progress monitor every 2 weeks for those who's receiving intensive interventions. However, they also had a middle of the year benchmark and an end of year benchmark. And so that will happen around December, January, and then at the end of the school year around April or May.
There's no further information or discussion on an action item. I would entertain a motion, the action items A through N at this time.
We weren't tabling in.
I believe we're gonna go with the relay program as it was presented. To not table or. Yeah, so all action items are as listed.
I have one more question. Sorry. On the BPS code of conduct,
We had one, I think probably since 2015 or something, it hadn't been updated at all.
okay,
So we updated it, made some changes and working with people from the state. That's also part of the CCEIS, just to make sure that we're in compliance and watching our disproportionality rate with the students and all of that.
all right, great, thank you.
Mhm.
I think I'm done, sorry.
Good dialogue.
Are the state honchos on board with relay? I know we've got to do it, but are they on board with it? State Farm.
Are they on board with it? What do you mean, Leslie? Well, I mean, I think if we're doing something that's gonna support leaders and build capacity in people, yes. That's what we want to do, and that's one of our goals.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept items A through M.
There's been a motion and a second, a motion by Mrs. Bogart, a second by Ricky Jefferson. Discussion is, are we going with the wired technology or the
SHI.
SHI? Nicholas. Okay, we're gonna go with the Arkansas company, wire. That's fine. So action item L, correction. The purchase will be with wired technology. Is that out of Little Rock?
North Little.
So there has been a motion and a second. Any further information or discussion on the action items at this time? I'll entertain a vote for action items A through M. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Motion carries unanimous. We will now go down to personnel recommendations.
I'd like to make a motion, we go into executive.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor of going into executive session at this time, please signify by raising your right hand. Motion. Okay, we'll now go into executive session.
It's the same.